Hello to a sort of together episode of Cat Calls. I am Kat, and I am coming to you from New York City live on Thursday, November 17th. And I'm in New York City because I'm chasing a Bloghouse revival moment. Thank you to Alex English for, in the chat, name dropping, going to your Bloghouse party on Friday. But I still wanted to put on today's Cat Calls because it was with a very talented, very wonderful friend of mine. And so we're just making it work in a stranger's room on a friend's computer. Everyone give an extra big round of applause for today's guest. Everyone give it up for Pilo. And I don't have my applause sound, so you have to be clapping back at home. Okay, I met Pilo, known to the government as Cam, at a magic castle in Los Angeles. And that is not a euphemism. That is actually a fact. We instantly connected on our shared love of goth music and post-punk and electroclash and all the good shit that everyone should be into. Plus, he's very strange and funny and all the good, wonderful things a weird person should be. Even better, he's an incredibly talented producer who feels most comfortable standing among a spaceship's worth of synthesizers, and he's won the admiration of my favorite synth king, Boys Noise. Some of you may have heard of Boys Noise. Boys Noise Records just released his latest EP. It's a 4-track monster that he calls Return the World. Not Return to the World, Return the World, like you borrowed it. But just give it back, okay? It's actually very, very good. It's like, I lost my train of thought. It's a really good 4-track EP, and it proves that he's earned his nickname Texture Daddy. Like, hello, he calls himself Texture Daddy. Like, that's all you need to know, and he actually deserves to call himself that. To get things started, I'm going to play the EP's intro song. It's called Everybody. It's one of my personal favorites of Pilo's, and when we come back, I will have Pilo on the program, so make sure you bring questions and you're ready for this, because it's not just my show, it's your show, and you have to have questions and you're part of it too. So everybody, get it together. Everybody, get it. Everybody. It's the name of the song. It's the name of the song. I did it! Everybody, it's Pilo. Am I saying that right?
Pilo, Pilo.
Pilo? Is it either one?
Yeah, depending on the region you are, but ever since I went to Tijuana 10 years ago, they call me Pilo, and I love it.
Oh, fuck yeah. What brought you to Tijuana?
When I first started, there's a guy, Harvard Bass, was like the one that like started listening to my music, and he was the one that kind of took me on as a protege. And he was the one that actually got me on Turbo and BNR because he sent my music to them. And he asked me to go play a show with him in Tijuana with Steve Huerta and James Del Barco and him. And yeah, I remember going out there and everyone was like, "Give it up for Pilo!" And everyone was just yelling my name. And I was like, that shit's fire. I'm going to stick with it. So in essence, shout out Tijuana.
Hell yeah. Shout out Tijuana. Shout out Harvard Bass. already sharing the goods, already getting right
Yeah,
up into the guts
I
of
already
your
came
career.
in with the fire.
Pilo does sound like a really wonderful, like, take on a margarita or something. Like, it's got a mezcal
Sounds
base, and it's
sounds like a delicacy, honestly.
it does. Yeah, it's kind of like phyllo dough. Like Pilo, like melts in your mouth a little bit. Like, it's got some French.
Exactly. You're starting to understand the brand.
So
Just kidding.
I'm getting warmer. This is
Yeah, you're getting warmer.
this is it. Well, everybody was enjoying everybody. My buddy Alex English said he could dance tectonic to that, which I fuck with 100%.
Yeah, that's sick.
Do you know about tectonic dancing?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I mean, but I don't really put like a name on it. Tectonic's just like very like pumping kind of shit, right?
Yeah, it's like I'm on a bit of a blog house binge, changing nothing for my everyday life, but it was like a very cool in France in like 2007 style of dancing. It was kind of like voguing, but it's just like
Oh yeah.
so.
I've done that many times without even noticing it.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. Okay, before we go any further, I love that you are very comfortable. You should be so comfortable on the
Someone told
show.
me last night that I looked very comfy, or someone said you look very huggable, and I was like, yeah, I'm comfy as fuck. And he was like, whoa, slow down on the confidence. And I was like, no, I just know. There's a difference.
Okay.
Or cockiness. And I was like, there's a difference. Confidence and cockiness. Confidence and the comfiness.
Yes, we are bringing confident, we are bringing comfortable, we are bringing cozy, all of the things. Pilo, this is the brand. No,
Yes.
while
Hello.
you're celebrating your EP release, no one should tell you to slow down the confidence or the cockiness at all. You deserve it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
you are recently 30, so happy belated birthday.
Tree Zero. Yeah, thank you.
Trey
It's a big
Null.
one.
It is a big one. Congratulations and welcome to your best decade yet. I fully promise.
Yes, I already feel it.
You do, right?
I already feel it.
What
Oh,
have
of
you
course.
noticed? It's been about a month.
Well, I've been fully sober for about 4 months now, and just, I feel like over 10 years I've done things that I'm proud of, but, I like all these, like, methodologies and, coping mechanisms and influence and scene and people around me. Definitely not like just like things from like high school and stuff, like partying and all that stuff really, slowed me down. So it's like going into 30, I wanted to be like, I just want to give myself 100% of a chance, like I want to give myself the chance to just be. And, I wanted to just up my game, like productive wise and quality wise. So, this EP is definitely a benchmark in that, which I really am proud of. So, yeah, going into 30s is just like leveling up on my own personal scale, spiritual or productive or expertise wise. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So it's just excelling in life. Life in full force.
I am so proud and happy to hear you say those things. I absolutely can relate, but I think it took me like 3.5 years into my 30s to totally come to that realization.
Everyone's on their own path.
Yeah. So you're just about to slay motherfuckers left and right in a very positive and loving way. Like we use slay in a positive and loving way.
Yeah.
I get you though. Like it's so funny. I sat and I thought about it, and like if I started partying and raving when I was 17 years old, which is true, and I'm now in my mid-30s, then I've literally been spending like half my life partying and getting inebriated and all of these things. And when you realize that you spent so much time doing something, it's kind of like, oh, shouldn't I try the opposite a little bit? Like, just to see what that's about? Like, that seems like a really long time.
People are very scared of the unfamiliar, and being familiar and comfortable is a usual human trait. So, but I think for me is I was very anxious and nervous in life with a lot of things, coming from either, everyone's experienced some type of trauma in a certain way or, just went through life and being comfortable is more comforting or just more safe than throwing yourself off the deep end. And now my philosophy is if I feel uncomfortable, I move towards it. Or not uncomfortable, but if I feel like nervous about something, like a decision, I'll do it.
Yeah. No.
It's like responding with the opposite versus being like, oh, I'm scared. I need to like hide in the shell. Like, no. It's like, yeah, exactly. Fuck it like we ball. Fuck it like we ball. Fuck it, we ball. Fuck it like we ball. Exactly.
Pilo philosophy.
Philosophy, yeah, exactly. That's a good one. I like that.
Well, it's I also definitely about to ball, Zach says. Your friend Zach says
yes.
About to ball. Yep, I feel the same way. It's like if you're not a little bit scared of what you're doing, then what you're doing probably isn't going to push you into any new territory. And that feeling of being scared is just the sign that you're kind of on the right path. And obviously there's a difference between being scared of like actual damage, but like
exactly.
just being
there's a very
scared,
specific means.
Yeah, being scared because it feels vulnerable or scary or like, oh, I don't know, what if this thing that I'm passionate about doesn't ring true for other people? Like that's definitely the sort of scary that you should just like.
Well, that's the thing I always say is like fuck any of those voices. Is like pushing yourself into new environments and spaces and just expressing yourself truly without critical thought is incredibly important. Who gives a fuck about like what people say, and who gives a fuck what people are gonna accept it or not? Like I've lived my life like that, and being strong in your own presence and your own being is worth way more than just hiding away or like molding yourself to other people's expectations, because you only live and express and you're in this moment in this one specific time once. Might as well throw yourself in there truly who you are, because why not? There's no, I mean, the risk is yourself, really. It's like, it's the battle with yourself. And, are you going to be proud of this moment in the future? Like, damn, that was truly me at that time. I can respect that. Yeah. I'm moving forward. I can see the progress of elevating.
Yeah.
There's nothing better, honestly. And, I like to be, I've worked on myself a lot and been through all these mental states for years. So I always like to be very passionate with being like that towards other people. I like to, be like a mean coach. Not like a mean coach, but I like to like scream positively at people.
I got you.
You know what I mean? Like, I've dealt with it, and not like I'm pushing my experience onto other people. Maybe if it's a learning and something picks up or like attaches to them in a special way. But yeah, I mean, I just like to share what I've learned with other people. And not even like, oh, well, I did this. It's more like, fuck it, who cares? Do it, Like, what's stopping you? It's more of like an outside perspective than just be like, well, me, I was like, it's not. I'm not trying to be a mouthful. It's like simple, straightforward. Like, people will tell me like, I like to. This is the thing I do now. Like, Michael came in and like Michael Frazier, my roommate and my friend.
Shout out, Monsieur Frazier.
He's like, what do you think of this photo? I don't really like the roses in the background. And I was like, oh no, everyone's gonna say like, oh, roses. What's a sensitive guy? Oh, roses. I hate roses. Like, is that
literally
enough?
No one ever says that.
There's like no one cares. Like do it. Like it's sick. I love it. And I like tie it up. Obviously, I'm not like roasting him on the spotlight, but
yes,
I like to like.
Yes, you are. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. I like to just put comments out there sometimes and just be like, how silly those are. Like, who gives a shit? Like it's dope. I kind of trailed it off there, but yeah, exactly.
No, you're doing fucking great. You're spitting mad wisdom for someone who's 30 years old and 1 month But for pushing yourself so far out of your comfort zone, you're looking very comfy.
Yeah, I'm comfortable in the outer regions. I'm comfortable in the unknown. The thing is, yeah, I mean, I always love this. There's so many analogies I have from like Francis Weller and shit, where
From
there's like
from
you don't ever
Francis
know like where
Wello? What from Francis who?
Francis Weller.
Tell me about Francis Weller.
Weller, Weller. He has
Weller.
one of the best books. Weller, yeah, he has a really good book. One of my favorite books of all time, called The Wild Edge of Sorrow. And if anyone wants to read that, it's about like sorrow and grief and how we deal with it, and
I would love to read
dealing
that.
with your emotions and going into the darkness. Incredible, probably one of the best stuff to go into, because I feel like a lot of people don't go into that enough.
Yeah. Until it's too late,
yeah,
honestly.
Just being comfortable in the darkness, and like even the thread, a book I'm reading, a lot of books I'm reading. It's like Murakami.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a lot of analogies for being in a well, like being deep down in the darkness with your own thoughts. It's like it's very important to be comfortable there and like kind of like embrace those dark thoughts, and those are your own. It's like, don't reject them, like they are part of you. It's important to be comfortable in yourself, and this is key in creative. Anything that's creative, or if you're expressing yourself, is being in sync with yourself, and not letting like these dark thoughts take you out of sync, and then you're not your most self to express. So yeah, that's yeah, I'm very comfortable with myself a lot more. I've worked on myself, especially in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And COVID, there's a lot of isolation, and the way I always see it is like your thoughts are written on the walls of your own home, and like you have to be fucking okay with that, and like there's gonna be a lot of times where the world can be isolating and lonely, or yeah, you just don't have anyone, and like like there's no, I mean, yeah, there's points where you are by yourself, and if you're creative, you are on your own sometimes, but
Yeah.
like you can shift that from loneliness into solitude, which is like solitude is a huge power, which I really love. Thanks for coming to my TED
Talk. I'm so here for this. I'm like, dude, Cam just like was like, hello, I'm on the stream. Here's like everything that I've learned about the darkness inside and out, and how to make your own mania your best friend. And I fucking like, you're so spot on. You're so right. I can't wait to read that book.
This is flirting to me.
It's what to you?
This is the hot topic. This is flirting in all general. If anyone talks to me stuff, I'm fucking in it. I love it. I could talk about it for ages. But,
yeah, that's great. Are you a Scorpio? You're like technically a Libra.
Libra cusp.
You're definitely more of a Scorpio. I'm
cusp,
just letting
Libra.
you know.
I'm a Libra. Huh?
I'm just letting you know that you are a Scorpio.
Cool, I didn't even think about that.
I promise you.
Like,
this is the most Scorpio season shit that could ever happen. So I'm so glad
that's very Scorpio. I think I'm going into my Scorpio-ness.
Yeah. You're having your Saturn return. I wonder what your Saturn's in. I don't know if anyone in the chat happens to know where Saturn is right now.
I could ask one of my exes or something. I
yeah,
don't know.
They'll all know. They know all three of your signs for sure.
All of them know, because it's like the first question people ask when you start dating, and they're like, "What are you?" And then it's like, "What's your Saturn return?"
The real question.
I keep forgetting my birth date, like my birth time.
Yes, the birth time and where you were born. There's a really great meme where this like son is texting his mom, "Mom, where was I born and what time was it?" And the mom just responds, "Stay away from that girl."
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. Who turned you on to all this stuff? Who handed you a Francis Weller book?
Oh, it was from my own research, but Cloxi, or people, it looks like Cloxi, Kloxii. She's a really sick, like, artist, Chinese artist that's amazing, that lives in Berlin now. I was going through some personal stuff, and she sent me a podcast by this guy named Mark Groves. and I started getting into this like stuff a lot, like Berlin like 2 years ago, and Mark Groves is all about just self exploration and learning about yourself and healing through traumas and stuff. It's really great, and then it's a good stepping stone into figuring out more and expanding into it. There's a lot of really great people I've come into my life, like sources of material, like Francis Weller or wow, I'm blanking on people's names. Tara Brock, she's amazing. And there's that one person that talks about true love too. That's really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's just like not only is it from one person, but the continued discussion with friends about life and creative life and all that stuff and stimulates that. So, yeah.
I'm impressed.
Oh, thank you.
and Zach is welcoming you to the Scorpio gang as well. So I just want you to know that.
Hello, Scorpion brethren.
And Torden Strike is also a fan. Scorpio men ruin your life. I'm so sorry. I'm sure Pilo would not do that to you.
Yeah, well, I'm a Libra, so
yeah. When it counts, you're a Libra.
I'm a Libra and a Scorpio. Scorpio in the healthiest ways.
Yes, always. Never the shadow side. Just exploring. Yeah. Just scuba diving through the shadows. I also can see how you are a little goth kid at heart, which is, of course, what I know about you, and how we met was just digging on all of the great post-punk and goth bands. And your dad was the one that put you on to that, right? If I have that correct?
Yeah. He showed me pretty much the basis of all music that I listened to when I was a kid. He put me onto post-punk. He put me onto, like, all the rave stuff. Like, was showing me, like, Prodigy, Chemical Brothers, early Essential mixes. Like, I have, like, these Essential mixes from 90s when I was, like, 5, 8. We would play in the car. And, yeah, I mean, he even showed me, like, Tribe Called Quest.
Dad coming through.
He got me into, like, Cabaret, Voltaire, Joy Division, Suji and the Banshees, X-Ray Specs, yada yada, the list goes on.
These are all classics.
But, yeah, I mean, he showed me all this stuff when I was very young because my dad's from Manchester. And he used to go to Hacienda and the Factory a lot when he was a kid. And Manchester is like it's a huge capital for a lot of the music, not only, like Acid House and it was a very big spark there. The rave, obviously a lot of stuff came from Detroit, but like Acid House took its reign.
Oh yeah.
In England.
Manchester.
And punk, yeah, Manchester, exactly. Punk and all that stuff came about because that was like this epicenter of the Industrial Revolution there. And it was just shitty over there. I mean, if you go there, it's miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful to me. Like, the countryside's beautiful, and I like how the streets look, but everything's just brick and, like, old factories and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is sick to me, but for English people, it's depressing.
Yeah. I totally get that. When I visited Manchester, my first thought, walking around in January in the perma rain, that was, like, not so hard that you couldn't just walk through it, but was just, like, always there. And I was like, oh, yeah, I see how Ian Curtis could have killed himself here. That makes sense.
Well, yeah, definitely. That man,
not that I'm simplifying an icon's whole personal story.
Yeah, no. Not like, well, no, I was kidding. But yeah, no, I see your point, for sure.
I do see how the Smiths could crop up out of this. It's like... Yeah. A dreaded sunny day. And then when it was a sunny day, I did go to the cemetery.
Exactly. The Stone, man, my dad used to live right next to the Stone Roses a lot.
Oh, wow.
He would always see the guitarists. He would always hang out with the guitarists because he would paint. And he learned how to, like, paint and, like, he would use, like, if you don't have money for a campus, you can use, like, newspaper to like create your own. So they would paint over that, and then yeah, he would always practice in his garage or garage.
That's
And that
so
was like
cool. Your dad is so rad.
Yeah. He's a twat, but he's great.
I mean, he's still your fucking dad, so, you know, I'm sure there's all kinds
Yeah,
of shit
exactly.
there to unpack for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But he showed you all this cool music. What was the first music that you yourself resonated with as a kid? Like, what among all the shit that your dad listened to stuck out for you?
All of it. I mean, gosh, there was being in North Carolina in the garage. I remember my earliest memories were being in the garage listening to the Essential Mix. There was a mix, and I always thought this was a remix, was of Necessary Evil, Armin van Helden, and Alan Brox from Roulette Records. There was a blend, and I thought that was a remix till like 4 years ago. And that moment stayed with me a lot. All the 808 State stuff, that was stuff that was really resonant with me. All the Prodigy stuff, obviously. Yeah. Like, we used to sing Smack My Bitch Up when I was a little kid. And, like, gosh, I mean, the list goes on. But, like, those tracks are, like, very resonant in my memory. Like, a lot of these songs have a certain part of time when I was a kid. And a lot of it was like driving through North Carolina when it was just like all landscape and trees and stuff. So myself would like just look out and space out, and you know, I would always space out and like start like imagining different things. I would just create my own little dream world from like just listening to these tracks. And yeah, I mean, as you could tell, like, oh yeah, there was also a Fatboy Slim remix. It starts with these bells in the beginning, and like, I remember every time I would listen to it, I'd imagine like something close to me dying and being at the funeral. Like, the fuck, like,
because you're actually a Scorpio, Cam. Because you're a dark motherfucker.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely. But yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell. Yeah, I would just hear all the tracks all the time, and yeah, just begin imagining.
That's so cool. The chat is behind. Joey Headset says that they get into a lot of what you had to say, I think, about Manchester in Rip It Up and Start Again, the post-punk history. Is that a book or a movie? I know it's a song, but in 20 minutes, Joey Headset will let me know if he meant the book or a movie. When you create music now, do you create dreamscape landscapes and scenes like when you listened to music as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, in my own way. I feel like my brain tries to do it the normal way, but it can't. So I find my own weird way to create what I want. And, especially recently, in the past 2 or 3 years, as I've gotten really more confident in where I want to go, I can instantly connect something and be like, I really want to create that feeling, and I can. But a lot of it before was because it's such a vast world of creating and just sound in general, and obviously the hellscape of music sometimes. Like, you can get lost. A lot of it was just experimentation and spacing out, and just ever since I started producing, because I was in concert band since I was in elementary school. Played the flute till middle school, and I was like, fuck that, whack.
No, I know. I think we talked about that. I played clarinet. We're both band kids.
Oh yeah. And then high school, I was in percussion. I did like marimba, bells, everything percussion, timpani. And then I did drumline, and then I got super sick of it because I started raving. And
how old were you when you went to your first rave?
Well, my dad took me to Coachella when I was 10 years old.
What year was that? Let's do the math.
2001 or 2002.
Fuck you.
I went to go see Prodigy. There was an acid tent there. I got to see like a Fatboy Slim vinyl set. I've seen Faithless. I think that was the same year. There was a lot of people I saw. I can't really remember fully, but I remember Prodigy were main stage, so that was right when Fat of the Land came out.
Oh, fuck.
Um,
That wasn't the year
yeah,
Bauhaus played, was it? Because I wanted to be there so bad.
no, I don't know actually. I would have to check the flyer again. Now, that was back when it was only 2 days too, and really cheap as well. I mean, it was
Yeah.
like not that expensive as it is now, obviously.
What did your
Yeah,
10-year-old
but
brain think of that?
huh?
What did
Oh,
your
it was crazy.
10-year-old, yeah.
I loved it. I have a story which is like going to Prodigy, sitting on the guardrails, and they were singing "Smack My Bitch Up," and the security guard told me to get down. I was pretty bummed.
Oh, no.
And then Keith Flint went up to the security guard and did the "Smack My Bitch" motion. Not actually smack the security guard, but the security guard didn't fuck with me the rest of the night.
Oh my
So
God,
shout
that's
out Keith
so
Flint,
awesome.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yeah. So I mean, I remember a lot of it. I remember being at every going into the acid tent, remembering what it looked like, going to see like the orb when they had like this
Wow.
small tent and it was all vibey. Going into the Sahara tent, what it used to look like, all these things stick with me. And a big thing for me is when I write music, especially when I started raving again, or really raving in high school, where I was going to like Hard Haunted and Summer and EDC and all the massives. Uh, you know, for me to like encapsulate that feeling of like, oh, I want to hear what I'm making in this environment, or like I want people to be dancing like this. I mean, everyone gets that feeling, when they're in the crowd. But yeah, it really sunk with me because I could really not like escape, but it's like a very healthy escape. Um, it was a very cleansing moment, and it's like I want to recreate that feeling. And that's where the Pilo name comes from. When I was in high school, I was always get these goosebump feelings. It's such a silly thing, but I searched it up in high school, and there's like pilomotor reflex. It was like the
Wow.
brain signal your spine sends when you get like a chemical reaction, or like you get like goosebumps, like your hair stands up. So I was like, I'll call myself Pilo,
Oh, that's
and then
sick.
motor reflex is my label, so I use the other half of it. But I only read the first paragraph. The second paragraph talks about animal erections, so let's not get into that one.
It sounds like you did read that paragraph. What are you talking about?
Like, yeah, fuck yeah. If this career flunks, I'm gonna start helping out with like extinct animals or something. I don't even know. Breeding music for animals to fuck to.
Yo, that would be a great mixtape series.
Let's just end that joke there. It could get way worse.
Oh my God. Well,
Anyways,
yeah.
to cycle back to what you were saying about recreating those moments. I forgot what I was gonna say, but I think it was when I started writing, teaching myself Ableton after high school. I would go home and like teach myself. I was constantly experimenting, and like honestly, I would space out for hours just creating all these sounds and just saying fuck it and doing all these weird things. And how I translate to creating, I just formed my own ear of how my own process of how to create something. And I think that really, over years, it took a long time, but I think it's really becoming, power, because, I can really take from anything or make anything and, do so many things with it, which I really learned through those years of experimenting.
Totally.
So when it comes to like actually creating sounds that I want, yeah, it's like now, like especially coming into like over 10 years, I feel very much like that, so it's cool.
Well, it sounds like you've been producing for more than 10 years if you started in high school.
Senior year, I think I was starting to use programs in junior year, which was 2010. So yeah, over 10 years. It's like I don't even count anymore.
I know. That's the good thing about being in your 30s is you just get to start telling people over a decade for whatever it is you've been up to.
Been doing it for years. Ever since I was a wee lad.
Were you fucking around with synthesizers back then?
I would buy some. Like, I would get some when I was younger, but I would use it and then get tired of it and then go back into the laptop. But over the years, I started getting like some stuff, like the Electron stuff, and yeah, now I have a lot of stuff. Especially since I work with Basic a lot. He always shows me crazy stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy it now. Or like when we're jamming, I'll buy it already.
Oh,
like,
nice,
wow.
just on the side.
I'm like, it's already coming. It's already coming. I bought it, but yeah, I go in between both, and yeah, but I was always mainly a laptop guy.
Interesting. I guess I just see so many images of you surrounded by synthesizers or playing with synthesizers on social media. So
Yeah, now definitely,
yeah.
definitely now, because I think it gets me out of my it gets me in a different kind of thought pattern. It's kind of just like it's a good philosophy to follow, especially when you use gear a lot. Is like, fuck it, that's the way it sounds. I'm not going to spend like 50 hours on it.
Right.
It's like kind of just like the ebb and flow of it, which is really cool.
The overarching theme here is fuck it. Just go with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can say that, but I've also done a lot of things where I really took time to make things sound a certain way. If you really have a vision and want to experiment, it's good to really sit down and give it time and space and really be a slow craftsman with molding it. I think there is also a lot of not that great things about just saying, fuck it, that's the way it is, because you really want to become something that's more unique and create something that's different. I think it takes time and consideration and the hours of careful craftsmanship. So I was just listening today on Bandcamp, and I'm like, here we go. You have another EBM track that goes it's like a 16th note thing.
I could never hear that again and be super fine with it. Like,
I'm like, listen, I can listen to a track for like a second and be like, no, it's not gonna go the way it's. I know exactly. Not to say I know it's gonna go, but
half the time you really do. I mean, I feel the same way. I listen to musical submissions, for reviews or whatever, and it is really exciting and fun when somebody turns that expectation upside down and you like listen to their fucking drop and then they go somewhere you didn't expect. But pretty much anything that's going to give you that 4 into 8 into 16 and the fucking Preta snare, I'm just like, whatever, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I think I like people that make my brain feel crazy.
Yes. Me too.
Like, fuck up my brain chemistry, please.
Please.
And I guess that's like,
please hack my neurons.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a lot of how I feel when I write stuff is like, I want to create that feeling, like switch it up a lot. Or create something where, I'll spend a long time on putting things together until they sound a very certain way that I think feels good. But I can see too when I like say fuck it and not spend so much time that it doesn't obviously hit the same or the way I want it. So yeah,
that's the art of it.
Back into that's the art of it, and yeah, that's just the way it is, and yeah, just gotta be patient.
It's like you could overwork a song to death. I feel like that's one of the most interesting things for producers specifically. With a band, it's easy. You're working with different people. You put a song together. You've got like an A-B, whatever. But for a producer, you're just kind of like alone in your room fucking around with stuff. And the song could just like never be over. Like, how do you know when the song is over?
Yeah, that's why it's good to have community around you. Share your tracks, talk about it with people, because me and Basic really talk shit to each other, like, oh, how long are you going to be working on that track? Or like, that shit sounds good already. What are you fucking doing? Like, stop. Like, just fucking finish it, It's true, though. Like, if you think about just humans in general, we thrive better in communities than independent. And that goes to so many different examples of business or anything, when you start being on your own and isolating yourself, it takes something out of it. So I, for one, for years would overwork things and take forever to finish things. Gosh, it used to take me forever to do a remix. Um, Even finish music. That's why I would release music, and then it'd be like a year or two until I released something else. And like now, getting into my like point where I'm at now is really counteracting that and like stepping up huge. Where I was just like, all right, I got the EP coming out. I'm already gonna finish this one and that one, and like, but in a way that's like not rushing it. And I'm really proud of the fact that it's like I can see a dramatic difference in productivity and output and quality too.
Being sober definitely has to play a hand in that, though. Like there's also just not all that room for, like, to me, it's like getting hungover, drinking too much, partying too much. It creates this like weird sense of anxiety and self doubt that like afterward, and I just like have too much shit I want to do to keep feeling that weird sense of like, wait, I don't know, but did I? Ugh. And then when you just eliminate that, you have more days where you are feeling confident in what you're doing and sure of your vision.
Yeah, and I think also to think about going out to events and seeing music you like. If you get too fucked up, did you really like take what's special from that and use it into something that's powerful? Because there's so many times I leave like a party and I go home and just work on stuff and translate that inspiration into something, versus just letting it die, So there's like an energy that gives. You can get all spiritual with it, but just definitely feel like you grab something from it. Obviously you do, because you feel this immense energy from it. You're inspired or happy, and like be able to like take that and like thread it into something that's your own is really beautiful, because it's a thing that keeps giving back and forth. It's just a constant cycle of energy, which is dope. So you're not interrupting it by doing some self-destructive behavior stuff.
I like that take on it as an interruption. You're obstructing the energetic exchange. It's a good one.
Yeah, you're fucking up the flow, dog.
Yeah.
Come on.
How did you meet Basic? You guys have a really special friendship and collaborative relationship, so I would just love to hear more about that relationship and how it came to be.
Yeah, Boys Noise linked us through text, and he was over. Apparently, like they've always talked on Instagram, and Boys Noise was just coming straight from the airport to his place to meet him, and they started writing music, and then he started showing a lot of D&R releases, and one of the tracks that I basically really liked was this track I did called Endorphins. And he's like, yo, this is sick. And he was like, link me up with him. And he linked us over a text group, and I started texting Basic over like, it was like I think it was like right around like the holidays and New Year's. And I went over to his house, and then like the first night we wrote a track actually off our album that we released a couple years ago on my label. It's called Forgotten, and I think it's called Forgotten. I forgot.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
But yeah, it was like the beginning roots of that track, and that's what really solidified our friendship, because we're like, oh shit, because we flowed really well. And yeah, I started going over to his place a lot more, and then yeah, it's just cultivated into a really beautiful relationship and friendship.
That's cool. It's a special thing. I know not every collaboration is really a free-flowing exchange of ideas.
But yeah, that's the thing. People do ask me for collaborations or like, to work, and I think it's really cool, but I think it really takes something beyond. Like, you have to really connect with someone and get to know each other and see, like, because in a collaboration, you're supposed to see the best qualities of someone, or not even just the best qualities, like where you connect. And I think it really shows how you know a person and how comfortable you are with yourself in an environment that's very sensitive. So it's a pretty big deal, and I feel like people kind of overboard it with like, let's collab.
Yeah.
Sure, it's exciting, but like I find it loses its meaning. Like, I feel like instead of just jumping to like, let's collaborate, let's like, I'm not giving anyone advice at all. Like, instead of like just go straight to collaborating, let's just like hang out, get to know each other, vibe, and like see where we connect. And it's really beautiful because it goes above and beyond. And then when you're really in sync, I feel like it's a good time to do that. That's been said. I've definitely collaborated with people I didn't know as much, but we've talked a lot and vibed a bit. But yeah, I mean, it's each to their own, I guess. But that's my view on it.
I
Because
saw.
I've
Oh,
definitely like being in LA, you definitely get asked a lot, and I think it comes from a wrong place, and I don't really like that intention.
yeah.
Not that I'm judging someone off their intention. Maybe like years ago I was, but now it's just like, it's like I don't feel right with that. But good thing is, like anyone that I've collaborated over the years, it's been nice. There's been not really anything where I'm like, eat. It's like it just happens, which is cool.
Yeah, you're not the person who's out there trying to link and build and connect and get that bread fam. So you're not
Yes.
necessarily running into all of those people anymore.
Yeah, yeah, true. I think it's kind of when you really know your boundaries and know yourself more. I think the pathway of the people that you really connect with kind of come and draw to you a lot
I saw on
naturally.
Twitter. Oh, I saw on Twitter that you and Basic made an album's worth of music with Innovate from Miami, INVT. I'm never quite sure how I'm
Oh
supposed to
yeah,
say it.
innovate. Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds
yeah.
like that went well.
Yeah, they came through, and we always wanted to hang out. I actually offered my place for them to stay when we played a show together a couple months ago, and I was like, let's link up if you guys are free, because I know you guys like want to go do your LA thing. And they came through to basics, and like we were vibing for a bit, and then we just went straight into it. And the flow of me and Derek is just we just record and write tons of stuff, and then come back to it. And yeah, we were just jamming for like I had to edit all this stuff, so it was like 3 hours of jams.
Wow.
So
Holy
I had
shit.
to edit through all of it and like kind of like loop like create loops, like little demos of like each section I felt was its own. And then like that came out to like 10 tracks or something. And I like wrote 2 ideas before they came over, so it was like 10 to 12. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I don't know when we're gonna get to it, but we wrote a lot of stuff together. And me and Derek have a bunch of albums to finish. Like we have one with Closure too that's really good. And when she comes back from Berlin, we'll probably finish it. But yeah,
That's so great. You're in your productive era. You're entering.
always in the productive area.
Yeah.
Staying sustainable.
Yeah. As long as it can be sustainable. Creating in a sustainable environment for productivity to continue to thrive. Talk to me about Return the World. Give it back.
Return the.
I only let you borrow it.
Give it back. Yeah, I mean, I was just writing a lot of demos over. I don't even know when I had the actual Return the World track from when I was in Berlin. I wrote that over there, and yeah, I was just trying to, because I was experimenting for a while. I wrote an album of Basic, which was very industrial but experimental. Then I wrote an album of Closhi, which was really experimental, and I wanted to come back into the mainframe of like writing great club tracks and like dance music as I started. And yeah, I was like, I need to really like shell out I want to really shell out some really great music. So yeah, I was just trying to get back into like a state of simplicity and returning to like a natural state of like going out and all over the place. So I had those 4 tracks. And if any release now, since I started a label, I always love to like create a overlaying concept that kind of is parallel to my own journey in life as an artist and as a human being. And I had to come up with a concept so my friend Alex Oria, or Asar Lux, was gonna do like the photos and the artwork and the videos. So he's like, yeah. I was like, I'll start with a poem. So I wrote a long, not like a super long poem, but I wrote a poem.
You shared
It's like
it.
I was, huh?
You shared it, I think, on Twitter or
Yeah, to
Instagram,
share.
right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
shared it. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the whole overlaying concept was like, I was always where it started was I was very infatuated with these like old factories and warehouses that were being overtaken by nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was when me and Derek were exploring the concept for our EP. We have an alias. We have two aliases. It's like breakcore and hardcore rave shit that's coming out next year. But besides the point, well, I was exploring that concept of warehouses and like human-made things, like manufacturing things overtaken by nature. And I really like the concept of returning to nature, whether it's like someone returning to their natural state. I find, especially in this world now, I find people always try to find something that's a fake persona or trying to stray away from what they are. But like I find over the years, especially during the pandemic, returning to yourself to like a natural state is really, really, I think, the way to live as a human being, like going back. And Francis Weller too talks about this in that book at the end, where a lot of people have anxieties about dying and the world ending. And the big thing is, he says humans may go extinct, but nature and a lot of these animals and insects and plants and trees are still going to be here. Mm-hmm. So it's always about when you go, how do you provide the best world for these things to thrive on? So I think that's a really beautiful perspective of like, it's not about you. Yeah, we might go extinct, but maybe to go beyond that is to extend the life of something else, especially this planet. So I always like the three return the world thing. So that's a lot of concepts that are interlying with that.
I love that. That's a great take. It's also highly topical.
Trying to save the planet out here. One release at a time.
Yeah, save the planet, stream Pilo.
Yeah, the next one's fucking recycle and oil companies.
Just oil companies. Yeah, I love it. It's fantastic. I'm into it. I'm into it. I love the whole vibe. I love the whole sound. I loved the music video visualizers. I see now how that taps into everything you were just saying with like the plants growing and the ants crawling around and
Alex did it really well. It was awesome.
Who did the visuals?
I kind of gave him creative freedom. Alex Oria, he does go by Axar. I don't even know how to say it. Azar Lux. He's really dope. He did my artwork for the Area EP, which was my last BNR EP. And he's done some work with like Boys Noise before too. So yeah, he's pretty much my main guy to go to, and he's very easy to talk with creatively, and we can kind of just flow with it and bounce off each other with ideas. Like everything came by together very quickly, which is or very, very fluidly. I just shared with him my concepts, we brainstorm out loud, and then he fired those videos off in a matter of days, less than that. It was crazy. Yeah, man, shreds hard. And yeah, we talked about like the idea of collaging. Like, someone on YouTube said Cassius, and there was a video of Cassius that he showed me.
Oh, there was a video of Cassius I get it now. It's the mouth and the cell phone.
Yeah, I think that one too. Yeah, I think that's where he got that from.
Because that's the "I Love You So" video is basically that. Yeah. I get it now.
They had a release with it might have been with, I don't know, Pharrell. I can't remember. They had someone, but they had a video where they collaged two videos together, and he took that approach.
Oh, okay, interesting.
That's why you see like me, and I'm looking down, and there's plants growing and stuff, which is a crazy shot actually.
Yeah, it's really dope.
Yeah, it's wild. So yeah.
So I
Great
know
stuff.
you're already working on your next EP. What concepts are inspiring you and are you musing on now?
I'm continuing getting into uh I always like to say power techno, but it's like driving like old 90s stuff, like Gigolo or like old Detroit stuff. Even like the old electro that
Yes.
came from threading into like all the Boys Noise early stuff, like
Love
Oi
it.
Oi Oi,
You know I love Oi Oi Oi.
or even yeah, I know you do. And yeah, it's tough to narrow it down, but I mean, even like old industrial records, or
Yes.
even like love parades, anthems, like very driving but really heavy, powerful stuff. I guess that's where I get an influence from. That power techno influences Love Parade, but not like trying to harness that actual sound, threading into my own way and bring it into a new light. The A side, I already have 4 or 5 tracks. The A side is a track with my friend Johnny Briers. I think I still have to finish it and send it off, but yeah, it's already almost done. Pretty much the EP. It's really good. I've also gotten into getting back into like old electro, like LA electro.
Egyptian
Uh,
Lover.
just like yeah, like around the early LA time, even before too, around that time with like actual like rapping on it, which
Mm-hmm.
was really interesting and sick. Cause like, I mean, just electro as a concept in general was so beautiful. Just cause like, futuristic,
Yeah.
especially like derived from like Detroit with black people. They created these like sci-fi worlds and concepts to escape to.
Mm.
It's like really, really, really cool. I mean, obviously, like Drexia is a very good example with like saying that like tying in the history of like pregnant black women getting thrown off ships, getting drowned in the water, and then they sustained life and created this like underworld world, and that's where Drexia comes from. It's a sci-fi world of like black people thriving in the world without other people. It's like their own society, and it stems off a sci-fi world of horror and history that's and racism, obviously. Like, and I find that really beautiful, like the escapism, but not even escapism. Like, it's just creating your own tales,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I'm just always so infatuated by that, and I've been working on. I have this like electro track on the EP that actually I'm gonna ask Michael Frazier to get on.
Hey.
Um, I want to have him apart. I just want to have like homies apart, and he's been working on music, and I've been, you know, I know he's busy, and it's daunting to like get into writing your own music and like really because it takes time and a long time. So whatever I can offer to like inspire or like even have him a part of like my stuff is awesome. Like
Yeah.
we were just he also has a huge knowledge too of LA electro, and
Yeah.
it's been really cool to he shows me shit all the
You're
time that
living
I
with the
don't know,
right
and he has a lot
person.
of knowledge, and it's really cool to hear that and be inspired by that. So I was like, obviously, like where I'm at right now, I was like, obviously it's like 100% game. He should jump on this electro track with me and
Yeah.
bring it to fruition. So it's the beautiful thing.
Well,
So yeah,
I
in a nutshell,
eagerly
that's what the EP
await.
is.
I hope that happens.
Oh yeah, I will. Oh yeah, 100% will. But
That's
that's
so
like not the
exciting.
only thing I'm working on. But yeah, that's one of the many things.
Of course, one of the many, many things. You're unstoppable right now.
Thank you.
It's all piloing up over here.
Oh. And good night, guys.
Had to do it. No, no, but seriously, we are totally coming up on about an hour, and I am thrilled to have been educated and enlightened by you on so many subjects, from music to mysticism to mythology of our urban hell. But I do have to eventually call this interview over, although I would love to have you on anytime or to chat about these things with you anytime.
Yeah.
But on the way out, I'm going to play your song, I Forgot Your Name, which is a great name for a club track because it's everybody's club hell reality. And I'd love to hear anything that you have to share about that song or just anything that you would like to share on your way out in general with your last 5 minutes, Pilo.
I think I Forgot Your Name stems a lot from, punk and post-punk influence and industrial, and even listening to old Tiga tracks or like a lot of that kind of genre of new wave and synth wave. And
all great waves.
With Zach, or like I think the part of it stems from is when I first came back to LA. We went to go see maybe Ben UFO, and I remember my first time being back at the LA rave, I was so overwhelmed because there was fucking lasers and like it was dark as hell, and like so many people came up to me and I couldn't fucking see, and they kept saying my name, and I'm like, I don't know your name or like anything. I was like, this is overwhelming as hell. Like everyone's like, yeah, what's up? And I'm like, hey, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, go away. But I just thought it was funny, and I was like, because I was starting to say like my own lyrics a little bit, and I was like, I'll just have fun with it and just stem it from that, not even thinking about anything else. And yeah, that track came by really very, very effortlessly, and I'm very proud of that one because it's a new kind of style I've been exploring, and I really love it. Yeah. So that's the story about I Forgot Your Name.
I love it as well. It resonates. It feels like the soundtrack to my least favorite moment, being outside.
Yeah.
And it's full of all the horror and beauty that comes with that.
It's a love letter to social dementia.
Yes, that's what I have. Thank you. Thank you for diagnosing me. Thank you for all that you've done. I am going to play that, and I'm going to thank you once again. And
thank you.
I'm sorry. I've been having technical difficulties over here, but I'm pretty sure that the recording and everything is going to be bravissimo, and I don't want to lose this conversation. So I'm glad that we had it.
Amazing.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for releasing your music, and I hope you have fun at the rescheduled EP release party tonight. Thank you. We better shred it. Yeah. Go. What is it? Fuck it. Bout to ball. Bout to ball. Fuck it, we ball, but it's instead of BALL, it's BAWL, which says begin again with love. Wow, what a fucking sage! I'm impressed. You're a philosopher. I have so much to learn from you. And I don't mean that facetiously. I mean it honestly. I know. All right. I will see you. Good to see you in your Padawan.